All right, welcome to another edition of our Zoom conference callers. We're happy to be joined by the assistant coaches for the Colorado Eagles, and Ryan Tobler and Aaron Schneekloth. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. And I'll start with you, Ryan. What are you doing here during the quarantine just to kind of, I guess, stay sane and stay in the mode that you need to be in as a coach?
Yeah. Well, I've been helping my wife out a little bit with the schooling with Caslin. Coach Cronin gave us a link we could sign into to watch some webinars from NHL coaches, assistant coaches around the league. That's been quite helpful. And I built a basketball hoop. So that was an adventure in itself. So just trying to stay busy and sane like everybody else. And
you got it down to about 8 feet so you can dunk on it?
7.
That's good. Aaron, how about yourself? What are you doing during this time? I know you also, like Ryan, have kids that you're homeschooling, and what else is going on just during this time? Because it's just, again, unlike anything that you've ever dealt with as a player or coach.
Yeah, just trying to stay busy around the house. Obviously, with the 2 kids, getting their homeschooling taken care of is a priority, and then just chipping away at some minor projects around the house, taking over just some duties. My wife's still been going into work during this time, so just trying to keep things sane and keep things on the rails here at the house.
Well, good. Well, one thing we love to do is get questions from fans submitted in advance and ask you those questions. We'll start one here. This is from Kaylee, and I'll ask both of you guys. Ryan, I'll start with you. What's your favorite memory that you two have had with each other, whether it was as a player or a coach?
Between me and Aaron, that's there's a few. Of course, winning a championship with Aaron was special, especially under the circumstances, and as our first one together. But I'd have to say what stands out to me probably is the look we gave each other when Gabriel Verpass scored that go-ahead goal against Florida, because that was such a – I mean, the first one against South Carolina was special, but we swept them. To go Game 7 that second year and have a chance to go back-to-back, and what we went through and endured during that series together, the ups and downs, just that exhilaration probably is up there for me, that Game 7 victory against Florida.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of Eagles fans, that's maybe their favorite moment. How about you, Aaron? A favorite moment between the two of you?
Well, just like Ryan said, there's been so many, and I just kind of look at the timeline we've spent together over our career. And when I first joined Colorado was my first championship with the Eagles in 06-07. To experience that, to join the Eagles because they were always so competitive in the league at that time, to be able to join that team and find a role with so many great players, and to win that championship was really special. And then just like Ryan said, we've had an outstanding friendship over our career that a lot of people might not know, like, began before I joined the Eagles. I've known Ryan for a long time, and then winning as a player, as teammates, and then being able to do it as a staff back-to-back in different fashion, just like Ryan touched on, is something really special. And we've our families have created such a great friendship. Our daughters are friends. So, just that lifelong friendship that we've created and grown over the years is really special.
All right, here's a question, and you started to answer it, I think, but again, it's for both you and Aaron. I'll start with you. This is from Greg. He said, why did you choose to join the Eagles organization as a player?
All right, well, for me, once I graduated college and kind of, found my place in the pro game, I was never quite good enough to be a mainstay in the American Hockey League. And my wife and I were starting a family, and we wanted to find an organization that checked all the boxes for us. A great place where we could raise a family, a team that really took care of their players and was competitive. And so that's why I chose Colorado. I had some friends that played on the team. I went to college with Brad Williamson. He was a big influence on me coming here. Played with Eric Adams, Matt DeRozier. So I knew some players in the league that spoke very highly of the Eagles organization. And then Chris Stewart, obviously a great recruiter, and lived up to every promise he made, not only to me, but all his players. And it's worked out really well for me and my family.
How about you, Ryan? And again, you came in right at the onset. What was, again, the thought process of coming and decided to join the Eagles organization when you were a player?
Yeah, so I just finished my 7th year in the American Hockey League, and I felt that my window had pretty much closed to get another chance or crack at the NHL. So I wanted to go somewhere maybe that gave me the best chance to win and settle down and play consecutive years. So it started with a call from Phil Crow and Brent Thompson. They kind of explained to me what the league was. I knew some of the players that would be there. I knew they'd have a strong team. And then ultimately, like Aaron said, talking to Chris Stewart and having him seal the deal. And I mean, the rest is history. It was probably one of the best hockey decisions and personal decisions I've ever made. And what a ride it's been.
Well, how about this? It's a question here from at Avocado25, but wanting to know what made you want to become a coach. And I know, Ryan, for both you and Aaron, you guys dove right into coaching. You took a little bit different route. You went back up to Canada. What was some of the mindset of once you decided to hang up the skates that you wanted to pursue a career in coaching?
To be completely honest, I didn't as a player. I wasn't like, oh yeah, like I can't wait to be a coach. That wasn't my mindset. When I retired, I started working at a gym training hockey players, and that led to me doing off-season skates with them. And then that kind of sparked, and I got a chance to coach senior hockey, AAA hockey up in Canada. It's not recognized as pro ranks, but for me, it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. It's something that I grew into. And when I got the opportunity to come be Aaron's assistant, I jumped on it because I knew it's something I wanted to pursue. And then the transition to the American Hockey League and becoming an assistant under Greg now has just helped me grow as a coach, and it's been great. So to be honest, it's not something I aspired to. It's something that I kind of grew into.
Aaron, how about you? Was this something that you thought about, again, as the final years of your playing career kind of started to wind down, that you thought about making that transition? And once that transition came, what was it like?
Well, yeah, for me, I mean, it's not something that I really thought about either, kind of the twilight years of my career. But, when you're a veteran on a hockey team, you're taking on responsibilities of helping your peers around you and some of the younger players. And that's something I really enjoyed working with. And then when I did get the opportunity to coach with Chris Stewart, it was I completely loved it and still do and enjoy it, but it was an eye-opener to see what kind of work really goes into coaching, especially at the ECHL level, where you're wearing multiple hats in the off season to help make things go smoothly. So you're working with staff members on immigration, travel, housing, scheduling. So it was a great learning experience. And then now as we moved into the American Hockey League, and it's been a great experience working under Greg, who's coached at the highest level, very knowledgeable and detailed. And so just like Ryan said, just continuing to grow as a coach, as a person. And it's really enjoyable just to help these guys make it to the next level, pass along any knowledge you can, and challenge and help these guys become the best they can be.
Well, you guys have both had a pretty unique perspective in the fact that you played here, you've coached here, you guys were here as a part of all three of the leagues. How have you seen this organization both change and remain the same? And Aaron, I'll start with you.
Well, it's truly remarkable to see this organization go from the Central Hockey League to the ECHL to the American League, and continue to adapt and grow and not ever slow down. I mean, our fan base has continued to support this team, have such a proud product on the ice, be extremely involved in the community. I don't see a difference changing leagues. I mean, it's been very enjoyable to see this community rally around this team when we have moved up to the leagues, and they're excited, and the product on the ice continues to get better every single year. And, you know, that's one thing that the Colorado Eagles love to do, is they love to put themselves in a position to compete for a championship. And it's a process, and I think we're definitely on the right path again.
Ryan, how about yourself? And again, you've been here since day one. How have things changed? How have they stayed the same for you?
Yeah, and I've said this before, you know, our league has changed 3 times now. And the one constant, the one mainstay has been the loyalty by our fans. It's unbelievable. And I know, you know, listening to Greg Cronin's interview the other day, you know, he, like Aaron said, he's coached at the highest levels, collegiate levels, and at the American League levels. And it's one of the best environments he's ever been a part of. So that says a lot. But for me personally, it's just been, like I said, one of the most important words in the dictionary for me is loyalty, and our fans have had it in spades. And not only that, but, you know, to change leagues, it takes risks, especially go from the East Coast League to the American Hockey League. So you have to give our ownership, Martin Lind and that group, Chris Stewart and Ralph Backstrom, you got to give these guys credit for taking these chances and aspiring to be the best they can be. So, yeah, but for sure, our fans, if you don't know it, we are getting players that want to come here, that want to return here. You take a guy like TJ Tynan, who could probably pick his place to play at this level. He chose to come back here, and that says a lot about our fan base and the building that he gets to play in, and of course our team.
Yeah, no question. And a fun one here. This is from @RC Woodward. And tell you what, Schneeks, I'll start with you. And he asked for the top 5, but just give me a handful of players that you think are some of the best fighters that the Colorado Eagles have ever had. And maybe one of them's on this call with us right now.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, that's something the Eagles have always had, is they've had a tough competitive team. And obviously Ryan Tobler's up there, and Fraser Flippick is in there. You know, Jason Beattie, Alex Penner. I'm probably missing a ton of guys that could go on this list. Guys that made the game a lot easier for their teammates to play, and it's not an easy job to do. And those guys deserve a lot more credit than what they get.
Tobes, let me ask you this, and kind of give me a couple other guys that jumped out at you as being some great fighters that you either played with or coached, but also just that mentality that Schneeks talked about that has always kind of been a part of the Eagles' history.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, you know, playing with them for the 7 years and watching them pound for pound, Fraser Filippic, I would put him up against anybody, and that goes against a lot of, if you want to call him a middle heavyweight, that I fought, like a Chris Neal in the American League level, a Darcy Hordichuk, guys like that. I felt like he could have done that job at the American League level at the very least, but down at the CHL level, he was far and away the best technical fighter I have seen. Yeah,
and would go to any weight class. It was always amazing to watch what Flip would do. It was always impressive and fun to watch. Well, we've gotten several questions about this, and Schneeks, I'll start with you. And we kind of touched on this a bit, and it's tough to always say, but in your time as head coach with Ryan Tobler, which 2 of those championships, when you look back now, was maybe your favorite, because they came in different ways?
Yeah, I think for me, the second championship, for a couple of reasons. One, we had a completely different team. I felt we were a lot younger. We didn't have the experience we had the first year. And 2, I felt like we really had a target on our back that second year. Especially when we knew that it was going to be our last season in the ECHL, made it difficult. You know, at times in the year, it felt like we were faced with a lot of challenges, with some injuries, a lot of movement between our team and San Antonio. And yeah, I think that one for me personally was gratifying because of all the challenges we faced.
Ryan, how about you? Same question.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Aaron on that. I mean, the first one was special in its own right. It was our first year coaching together. I personally, took my wife and my daughter gave me the opportunity to come down here. Of course, it's a family decision at that point to make the move, and then just having the chance to work under Aaron like that and watch him as a head coach, that was special in its own right as a friend growing up. So, but of course, that first championship as a coach was special. But the second one, like Aaron said, there was just so much that went into that year. The ups, the downs, and that game 7. I mean, the Fort Wayne, the conference finals. I mean, there was just so many. We just weren't pushed like that the first year, and with the injuries we sustained and things like that, and it's just too bad. And I know all our fans know of the 4 championships we've had with Colorado. Only one of them has been won on home ice, and that was special in its own right, as going back to, of course, our playing days together. So that was handing the cup to those fans. I still have them come up and talk about that today. So that was a very special moment.
Yeah, and last thing I want to throw at you, Aaron, is as you look at what Ryan had talked about, that game against Fort Wayne, a game 7 where you're down and you're going into that third period and you're getting in the late stages and you find those goals and you win it in OT. Is it safe to say that's one of the most exciting games that's ever been played in that building?
Well, I would say that was the most exciting 8 minutes of that game. I remember, being on the bench and we just couldn't find any life going. We tied the game up, and then Fort Wayne immediately answered, and they had an outstanding team. And, that was a big challenge for our group. And I remember there was about 8 minutes left, and I think there was a timeout called, and we just said, guys, we're running out of time. We've got to, find a way to get some life. And I think, Matt Garbowski scored, and Joey Rattel came down a few minutes later and tied it up, and the momentum completely changed. And that could have been maybe the loudest I've ever heard the Budweiser Event Center. And then, Tobes and I talk about it still to this day, that, I think we scored the first power play goal in that series, and we didn't score another one until that OT winner. And it was just a great feeling to see that come together.
Yeah, great memories and wonderful opportunities to capture championships, as you guys did in your first year together, did it again in a second year, and now have the opportunity to continue on in the American Hockey League. It's been great having you, obviously, as a part of the Eagles legacy, and continue forward as a part of this legacy. We appreciate your time, and again, enjoy some of this time with your family, and have a great rest of your summer. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah,
right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it very much. That is this week's Zoom conference call with Aaron Schneekloth and Ryan Tobler, assistant coaches for your Colorado Eagles.